Sunrise with Thaddeus from Dreamwalkers, otherwise known as the Why Guy, explaining to you why the science of sunrise works so well. In this case, how would you like better body composition literally from just being outside in the sun? Human growth hormone is often given to people for a number of reasons, but some people like to take it for increased lean muscle mass or faster fat burning. Sometimes people resort to maybe illegal or gray area peptides and all sorts of other supplements that are very questionable, when in fact, you could be doing a lot of these things for free naturally before you ever try some of these other supplements. I highly recommend the Science of Sunrise, getting outside at dawn, for increasing human growth hormone. Yes, the sun has been shown to be able to increase or better your body composition literally by increasing human growth hormone. So the science of sunrise isn't just about sleep, it's also about better mood with what? Dopamine and serotonin. So increasing dopamine. Why do we feel so good when we're at the beach on vacation? Yes, we're on vacation and we're away from work, but it's also because the ocean where it meets the land creates ozone, and it's because we're outside getting dopamine hits from the sun, which boost your physiology in a way that's beneficial. Because when we get dopamine hits from our phone, like from social media and alerts or playing Candy Crush or whatever it is, those are addictive dopamine hits. And in fact, your phone, television, and video games are as addictive or perhaps more addictive than gambling. Scientifically proven, right? So those dopamine hits are addictive dopamine hits. When the dopamine hits from the sun, not only are they boosting your mood, but they're causing beneficial physiological changes that are built into our biology that are supposed to be happening to allow us to age better, to have better body composition, and to have a better time while we're here on Earth. So why not get outside for free at sunrise and increase things like serotonin and dopamine naturally? Because when we do these things naturally without putting them into our bodies from chemical pills, there is a much different signaling mechanism happening in the body all around than when we take them artificially. So I mean, when you take something artificial, especially like hormones, you know, melatonin is an artificial hormone. So is vitamin D. So vitamin D is actually a hormone called hormone D. And when you're taking those things as a supplement, that's hormone therapy or hormone replacement therapy. You probably want to manufacture as much of those as you can yourself. I'm not saying that there's never a time to use melatonin from a pill or vitamin D from a pill. I don't know, maybe there's not really a good time, because I really think it's easy to supplement even if you can't get sunlight in the winter. Like here in Wisconsin, there's ways to supplement it at home that are way better than taking a pill. So before you do those things, you can get them naturally from the sun. Now again, the science of sunrise, there is no ultraviolet light at sunrise, and ultraviolet light is what creates vitamin D in our skin. So if you want to create free vitamin D at a rate and a level higher than you can ever get from a pill. So like the typical vitamin D pill, it's 400 international units of vitamin D. 400, just 400. One sun session can get you something like 50,000 IUs of vitamin D from one session of sun for about 15 or 20 minutes, depending on your skin color, the intensity of the sun, and where you are on Earth. So that's amazing. So what are we going to do with 50,000 IUs? If you took that much in a pill form, you would probably die because it's so toxic. In fact, if you look up, we did a podcast on the Primal Hacker channel. So this is why we know so much about sunlight and sunrise. We had a channel, we still do, called Primal Hacker, and we studied all things natural biohacking. We found that so many people were getting into biohacking, and then they're like, I want this supplement, I want that supplement, I want this technology and that technology. And like they can never get enough. It was always more, more, more. And if the technology was as good as it said it was, they would only need one ever and they would be good to go. But they kept needing more and more because the technology doesn't always work as well as it should. And then sometimes there are side effects from that technology or whatever it is. So if you do the free things, like what we learned, that there's no ultraviolet during sunrise, that means if you want vitamin D, and you're like, hey, I'm getting outside every morning and I'm walking the dog, and if you're a guy, I've got my shirt off. If you're, a woman, you're, let's just say, in a bikini and you're outdoors and you have low vitamin D. Well, that's because you can't manufacture vitamin D from the sun at sunrise. You have to wait till 30 minutes after sunrise. Again, this will depend on where you are on Earth and the time of the year. So there's a really good app. It's free. It's called D-Minder. It's like Reminder, but it's D-Minder. And you can just get that app and you plug in like what city you live in or the zip code or something. And it will tell you how much vitamin D is available to get from the sun at any given time. And depending on how long you're out for, it'll tell you how much vitamin D your skin should have absorbed. Assuming you're showing enough skin, you have to show about 70% of your skin. So guys, shirt off, women shorts or like a tank top or something, that's how you're gonna absorb all this vitamin D. Not saying you have to get sunburned, please don't, but get outside after sunrise using the D-Minder app when there's vitamin D available to get from the sun for free. That's the natural signal of vitamin D going into your body. You're getting this like free human growth hormone, this free dopamine. You're getting this, I want to say like breaking off, but what you're doing is you're like releasing, that was the right word for it, was releasing a nitric oxide molecule from inside your blood vessels, and that allows your blood vessels to dilate or open up and relax, which means that your blood pressure goes down. And then you're manufacturing vitamin D during those critical times of the sun when the D-Minder app, because again, you can't get D all year depending on where you live. So here in Wisconsin, I think it's about October 15th to April 15th, maybe beginning of April, we can't get any vitamin D. So basically like beginning of April until the beginning of October, we can get vitamin D outside. The closer to solar noon, the better. Solar noon is like when the sun is at its highest point in the sky. The steeper the angle of the sun, the more vitamin D producing rays come onto your body. So when the sun is the highest in the sky is your best opportunity to get vitamin D. That's when you practice safe sun exposure, depending on your body composition and your skin type. So like me, I'm a little bit darker. I can be outside for hours and hours and hours. But if I want to absorb enough vitamin D in the very beginning of the summer, it's like 5-10 minutes. And then by the end of the summer, it could be like 40 minutes for me to absorb enough vitamin D in a given day. That vitamin D is going to be stored in your fat cells, which is great. It's a fat-soluble vitamin or hormone. It's stored there, and then we can use it all winter long when we burn fat. I do have a book. It's called The Ketogenic Hibernation Diet of why we can and probably should burn fat in the winter, but not necessarily in the summer. And then you liberate all that vitamin D. And so at the time of the year when most people don't have enough D, you have stored it up all summer, and then you can liberate it in the winter time right when you need it. It's really a great idea that nature came up with. It's almost like we were designed to get sun during the summer and then come indoors in the winter. I still encourage you to get outdoors in the winter, of course, because that's really good for you. But you're not going to be able to, in Wisconsin, get any vitamin D in the winter. And if you want that vitamin D around, you need to store it up from the summer. So get outside at sunrise. You're going to feel better. You're going to have better sleep. And you might even look better because of that human growth hormone you get from the sun, giving you better body composition without taking any extra supplements. Science of Sunrise is amazing, everybody. There is so much to it that you probably never knew. And I hope you like this video. If you want more videos explaining the science of the sun or the science of natural things, let us know and we will be happy to go through them on this channel. Until next time, this is Thaddeus, otherwise known as the Why Guy, signing off on the science of